Hi, in this short session, we are going to understand the differences between skimming and scanning because skimming and scanning are considered two major techniques to speed your reading. In 3 or 4 minutes, we are going to differentiate between skimming and scanning as techniques of reading. Then we will have a practical example to apply skimming and scanning. First, what is skimming? Let's go to the definition of skimming. Skimming is the process of reading to get an overall view, main idea of the passage. So when you start with skimming, this means your purpose of reading is to get the main ideas and the general idea of the passage or the text. But scanning is the process of reading to look for a particular word or phrase. So before you start skimming or scanning, you had to specify what is your purpose of reading. If your purpose of reading is general ideas, main ideas, and overall view, so you are seeking for skimming. But if your main purpose of reading is to get a specific information or a particular piece of information, now you are going to use the technique of scanning. Skimming and scanning are two major techniques to speed your reading. Now, we have to focus on two major elements when we try to get more information or to better understand skimming and scanning. You have to understand when do you do skimming and when do you do scanning and how. How do you do skimming and how do you do scanning? Now let's start with skimming. When? When do we use skimming as a technique to speed your reading? You use skimming when you want to preview before studying. If you want to make previewing before studying, you depend on skimming. For example, you are going to study a new course, yes, and you want to know what are the main elements of this course, so you can skim the course before studying it. That's okay. Now, also time saving, because skimming saves your time. For example, if you are going to pass IELTS test and you want to save your time because you don't have to read every word, reading every word decrease your speed of reading. So you don't need to read every word, but you have to decide what is important to read and what is not important to leave. So skimming helps you to save your time, especially in IELTS reading texts, because you don't have much time to read the whole text word by word. But now, when do we use scanning? You use scanning when you know what you are looking for. For example, you locate the correct answer for a given question. If you want to locate the correct answer for a given question, you know what you are looking for, so it's better to use the technique of scanning. Okay, now let's move. How? How to do skimming and how to do scanning. How to do skimming. It's better if you start with skimming, you have a reading text. For example, you are going to have a test on IELTS and you want to skim this text. So how do you start skimming the text? I start skimming the text by first reading the title, because reading the title of the text gives me a lot of information. What is the main idea of this reading passage? Once you finish reading the title of the text, you can start reading the headings and subheadings, because it's important to read the headings and subheadings to get more information about this text. If you have lists or numbered lists, you can start reading them. Because as you remember, as I told you before, skimming means getting the main ideas and the general idea, overall general idea of the text. So you can read the title, the headings, subheadings, numbered lists. Also, if you are reading a passage in IELTS, you can read the introduction of a text because the introduction includes the main idea of the text. Once you move to the paragraphs of the reading text, you can read the first and the last sentence of each paragraph because the first sentence includes a topic sentence, which means the main idea of the text, and the last sentence means concluding sentence or also paraphrasing the topic sentence. So reading the first sentence and the last sentence of each paragraph helps you to understand the main idea of each paragraph. While you are skimming the passage in IELTS tests, you can underline, you can read important phrases. Yes, the phrases that you feel, these phrases are important. You can read these important phrases because they give you much information about the text. Also, you can underline and highlight important words and phrases because you can go to them later once you need them. So how to apply skimming? Focus on the title, headings, subheadings, numbered lists, read the introduction, read the first and the last sentence of each paragraph, uh, important phrases that give you much information, and you can highlight or underline important words. Now, how do you do scanning? Scanning, as I told you before, scanning means you know what you are looking for. As long as you know what you are looking for, you are going to choose a few words or phrases to search. For example, you have a question. In this question, you have main words or the most important words in the question. You can bear these words in mind. So you choose a few words or phrases to bear in mind. Then you start scanning the text quickly to find these words. You can use your finger to stay focused. That's okay. This is a technique. Use your fingers so you can stay focused. Um, Also, repeat the words while scanning. For example, I am looking for this word. For example, I am looking for the word co-activation. So I say co-activation, co-activation, co-activation. So you repeat the words while scanning. So you did not forget what you are looking for. Now let's go to perfect together. What the meaning of perfect together? You cannot perform skimming separately, or you cannot perform scanning separately. They are brothers. They are brothers. You have to do them together. So it's perfect to do or to perform skimming and scanning at the same time. Skimming and scanning, as I told you before, speed your reading, speed the rate of your reading. So skimming covers the whole reading text to decide what is important to read and what is not important so you can leave it. Once you do skimming, you start at the stage of scanning. So scanning takes out the most precious facts you need. This is skimming and scanning. Let me summarize what I have said. Again, skimming means read for the general idea and you decide what to read and what to leave. Scanning means you are looking for specific words or specific phrases. That's okay. You are looking for the most precious facts you need. This is skimming and scanning. But let's go to practice. Now, this is a passage from IELTS reading text, from IELTS reading. Yes, the title of the passage. Now, how can I apply skimming? How can I apply scanning? To apply skimming, this is one paragraph, but in IELTS you have a reading passage. The reading passage includes many paragraphs, but I chose only one paragraph to apply skimming and scanning. Now, to apply skimming, what should I do? First, what is the title? The title is The Benefits of Being Bilingual. This is the title of the passage, the whole passage, which I chose a paragraph from. So, from this title, I know that here I am going to talk about languages, I'm not going to talk about the disadvantages, but I'm going to talk about the advantages. So the passage will be about the advantages of being bilingual. Bilingual means speaking two languages, speaking two languages. So now I understand the general idea of this passage. I'm talking about the advantages of being bilingual, of talking or speaking two languages. Okay. Now to skim this paragraph, I can read the first sentence and the last sentence to get the main idea. For example, the first sentence is, research showed that when a bilingual person uses one language, the other is activated at the same time. So this paragraph is about uh, how one language, how speaking one language activate or activates the second language. That's okay. This is the main idea of this paragraph. How speaking one language or how using one language activates the other language or the second language. This is the topic sentence or the first sentence of the paragraph. Let's go to the last sentence. The last sentence is, in cases like this, language co-activation occurs because what the listener hears could map onto words in either language. I think the first sentence, excuse me, the first sentence and the last sentence, the first and the last sentence, both have the same idea. So from the title, from the first sentence of the paragraph, from the last sentence of the paragraph, I made skimming. Now let's move to scanning. If I go to the questions and answer the questions, question number one, brain's language system is capable of. So here you have a question. Now I'm going to look for the answer for this question. I know what I'm looking for. Here I can apply scanning. For example, brain's language system is capable of. What I'm going to look for, I'm going to look for these words, brain's language system. So I can remind myself, brain's language system, brain's language system. I'm going to read quickly to find the word brain's language system. I use my finger, move my finger quickly. Yes, I reach to this specific words, brain's language system in line number 3. So brains here in line number 3. I can go to the beginning of the sentence long before the word is finished, before the word is finished or is completed, the brain's language system begins to guess what the word might be. So your brain's language system can predict the words before being completed. This is what I understand. First, I quickly get the words brain's language system through scanning, and I try to understand the sentence as a whole to get the answer. Let's go to the answers. Brain's language system is capable of predicting words before being completed, understanding words before being spoken, recognizing sounds at once. The answer will be predicting words before being completed. The answer will be A. Let's go to question number 2. Language co-activation relies on. So I have to use scanning to get these specific words. Language co-activation. So I try to remind myself, language co-activation, language co-activation, language co-activation, until I reach the word in the text. Where is it? Where is it? Yes, I can find this word here, language co-activation. Let me start from the beginning of the sentence. Some of the most compelling evidence of this phenomenon, called language activation, comes from studying eye movements. If you need to read more sentences, that's okay. But let's go back to the question. Language co-activation relies on how senses interact, how eyes move, how touch and hear work. The answer will be how eyes move. Like this, we have studied skimming and scanning and get a lot of information about them. And I try to choose a paragraph to apply what we have learned. That's okay. Thank you very much. If you like this video, please subscribe to encourage me to do more. Thank you very much.